Hey, this is Colin Brittain from Linkin Park, and we're here in Frankfurt, Germany. It's kind of full circle for me. I started out as a drummer, became a producer, back doing drums, and I love this band and I love the people and the music, and so it's a oddly fulfilling experience. In the studio, it really depends on what you're needing. I find that thinner cymbals, which is almost kind of what I play here, I kind of played medium to thin cymbals live. Thinner cymbals tend to work better in the studio because there's less resonances to have to deal with in post. I know a lot of guys and girls play thicker cymbals live because they're more robust, they don't break as often, and they're louder. For engineers and producers, it's definitely easier to, usually the bigger and thinner, typically better, but it also just depends entirely on what you're trying to record. So this is my 18-inch EFX. I love this cymbal. It kind of replaces a China cymbal for me. So it's got a nice kind of clangy feeling to it. It's really good for accents. This is my 20-inch Sweet Crash. This is like my crash ride. We have the A Custom 22-inch ride. Nice and pingy, but also a little bit washy. So my 10-inch K Custom Splash cymbal. Use this all the time. This is one of my favorites. This one is probably the one that I use the most, these two. This is also a Sweet Crash, it's 18 inches. So these are the workhorses. And then of course we got the Avedis medium thin crash. This is just kind of for extra rolls, just to have a little extra splashy crash vibe over here. And then the most important thing on the whole kit, besides the kick and the snare, is the sweet hats. I like the 15-inch K sweet hats. I use these in the studio. I've used these for years in the studio on productions. It's got a really nice bounce. Hi-hats sometimes are clangy and hard to mix, and or too pointy or too washy or whatever. And this kind of has a nice balance of everything. It makes it really easy for our front of house engineers to mix and bring a lot of power to the drum kit. I think that Linkin Park was such a big part of my upbringing as a musician. Some of that is baked into the DNA of how I play. So it was a pretty natural transition. Obviously, anytime that you're playing with somebody, you can't help but to add your own personality to the instrument. That's kind of the point of, seeing a band live. So I don't really know how that shows up for me. I guess that's a better question for you or for other for the fans to be able to see and be able to tell the differences. I don't really like to compare it too much. I just kind of go out and emote the music that I feel the best, and also try to stay as true to the records that we all know and love as much as possible. The pill that I'm on is a tough one to swallow. I'm not a criminal, not a role model. It can actually be any of those things. Sometimes it might be like Joe or Mike or one of the other guys might be like, what if it's reminiscent of this style or this beat or something. But typically I feel like it starts in your head first. Those are the best drum parts usually. I know that's how Mike writes a lot of drum parts. He sort of hears it in his head, and that's how I write a lot of drum parts, is in my head. There are situations where we just sit down and just start playing around with things. I find that as a practiced musician, for playing for my whole life, when you sit down and you start jamming, your tendency is to go to the muscle memory And so things kind of don't come out as like original. It's better for me to think about it in my head and then try to replicate that, because that's how you get the most original ideas.
He just wants to be heard, whether it's the beat of the mic. He feels so unlike everybody else alone, in spite of the fact some people think that they know him. Fuck him, he knows the code.
Classic. I think the oldest that is still around, definitely the ones that I've always just felt like the quality and like the sound of Zildjian has been on so many great records, and it's a cymbal is a very utility part of music, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, that's kind of how I think. So they've to me has always been the top. It's what I always wanted to play as a kid. When I was a kid, I used to play with like kind of mishmash cymbals. My dad's drum kit, we had some Zildjians, we had some other cymbals in there, and I always gravitated towards the Zildjian ones.
This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentration.
I love the idea of more like different style hi-hats. My friend Thomas Pridgeon plays with like 16-inch hats. I love that idea. Some different kinds of splash cymbals. I'd love to try the paper thin cymbals. So yeah, I think my first thing is, before adding any ideas to it, would be more of like seeing what's available and then maybe expounding upon those ideas. So you guys have got so many cool things that I haven't even tried yet.